Hello and welcome back to another Warhammer 3 video we have for you today. In this video we'll be going over everything we know so far in the upcoming High Elf DLC. I've gathered every bit of info we have from the live streams and the gameplay showcases, including free mechanics for all the High Elf factions, new tech tree, full roster details, and much more. First up, we'll go over the new mechanics available to all High Elves, and then check out Tyrion and Teclis' unique ones. The free mechanic is called Patrons of the Realm, where you, as well as the AI factions, can spend influence placing certain lords and regions for powerful effects you can upgrade. Be careful though, the AI can take your spot, similar to the tower from the Chaos Dwarf mechanic, but if you do spend enough influence on one region, you get a permanent seat, granting major bonuses from that lord, as well as granting favor from the Phoenix King. Speaking of the Phoenix King, that is a new resource you gain from using the Patrons of the Realm mechanic. Building up enough favor from the Phoenix King will let you confederate the other High Elf legendary lords. And even if the other factions get wiped out, you're still able to confederate them, similar to a certain mod I always use. And for Aislinn, the settlements just become a new vassal state, so his mechanic of gifting still works no matter what. Now we have Tyrion's new mechanic called the Champion of Ulthuan, very similar to Karl Franz's mechanic from the Empire. Like most things with the High Elves, you can spend influence to take actions, gain faction effects, or even call upon your fellow High Elves for help. What's neat about his though is you have two tabs, one for all your effects and actions, and the other for your special abilities. A few examples of these are one can stop an enemy army completely from moving, giving them a debuff while they're at it, while others can give you access to new army abilities and spells. But in order to use any of those in the second tab, you must first confederate factions tied to each one, very in line of what Tyrion is supposed to be, kinda like the main leader trying to unite all the High Elves since they're very separated in the beginning. The next mechanic is for Teclis, everyone's favorite mage, with his being the Secrets of the White Tower, giving Teclis a new resource called Scrolls of Knowledge, to spend on really strong spells, upgraded heroes, and even faction effects, and guarantee your hero actions never fail. All split into 5 sections to represent the different lores of magic, very similar with Gelt with how his mechanic works and him being a very strong mage with a new resource to manage. With Teclis' campaign starting in a weird spot on the map, they decided to give him 3 options after defeating the starting enemy faction. 2 of them let you go back to Ulthuan while spending new resources to do so, and the third lets you stay where you spawn, similar to Althorian, along with extra scrolls of knowledge if you stay. It's always great to see them give the older factions a new fresh coat of paint, and hopefully some old factions that haven't received updates or DLC in a long time can receive the same treatment. The best thing about the new High Elves update is they reworked the tech tree. No longer do you need to build every type of building just to get some weak effects. Now they're split up into different sections, just like the other factions. The 2 sections are Host, and then the other one is Realms. The Host is more for your actual units, and the Realm is mainly for your economy and faction effects, with Aislinn having a third special one that boosts mechanics and unique units. There are some techs that need building still, but they're much stronger and make more sense than just having to build everything for a basic faction effect. And when we do get the update on the 4th, I will definitely go into further detail. Now let's break down every new unit and mechanic that was shown for the High Elf DLC from the showcase and livestream. Sea Lord Aislinn is a seafaring duelist going after low-tier Felart. While starting in the Eastern Isles, you're tasked with taking down the nearby Black Ark, and once you do, you'll be given 4 choices where a unique sea lane opens up, and only your faction gets to use it, as well as gives you missions centered around where you travel to, giving your campaign more of a story as well as an end goal, with your first option being we must return home at once, where you get to travel back to Ulthuan and defeat the many invaders that are taking over the island. Then we have heading east should be our aim. That one will take you to Cathay, which brings you much closer to low-tier Felart if you'd like to fight him early. The third option to the west is our next destination, taking you to the infamous Lustria Bowl, where you can pick a fight with about every single faction there. And the last choice, our sights must be set nearby, taking you to the Southlands where the hordes of undead and greenskins reside. Each one generates unique missions centered around what region you chose, taking your campaign where you want alongside different missions for each area. Sounds like one of the best starts in the whole game, adding a lot more replayability in the sandbox we have. With all that being said, you'll still be able to keep the other 3 sea lanes, so you're not locked in going to one area, and you're freely able to go back between them all when you want. The first mechanic for Aislinn are his outposts and colonies. There are 2 different types of settlements you can build and manage. After you decide on where to take your campaign, you can start building outposts that you're able to give to the other High Elf legendary lords. When you build an outpost, you give that settlement over to another faction, while you can use the unique building chains similar to the pirate coves for money, as well as boosting the garrison outposts, as well as the outpost being very vital in producing all the resources you need, like elven trade. Now you don't have to give all your settlements to just one faction, you can give them to whoever you like and as much as you want, so if there's a certain lord that you really like, you can just give them all the settlements for their maximum bonuses. The colonies are the other side of the coin, where you refine all the elven trade that you've made, turn it into dragon ship supplies that you can use to upgrade and build even more dragon ships, all very similar to the Chaos Dwarf mechanic where you need 2 resources to manage and coincide with each other. Elven colonies are limited, and unlike outposts, you'll still be able to own them as a normal settlement, but they aren't as easy to build, so do keep them in friendly territory. Now the second mechanic Aislinn has is very close to Malachi, and how his horde army works. The dragon ship he starts with is the only one left, and you have to use the new mechanics to unlock more, including their upgrades. All dragon ships have a unique stance called Mist Landing, which lets them bypass any obstacle or mountain, while giving plus 50 movement range to buff the enemy, as well as immune to most attrition. The downside is only the dragon ships can use them, so they do balance out when you only have a few armies that can actually use them. With the dragon ship being so versatile, we also gotta look at some abilities they can use during battle, like this bombardment spell called the dragon ship volley, doing decent damage and having armor sundering, good for taking out other range units. And the other one we gotta look at was called war supplies. It replenishes ammo for 10 seconds in a 55 meter range, so you can resupply most of your archers if you stack them correctly. And while you build dragon ships, outposts, and colonies, you'll also build up something called dedication points, where you can spend on new building chains, unit bonuses, and even more dragon ship capacity, as well as keeping track of the amount of settlements you have given to the other factions, and what bonuses you can get from each of them. There's definitely a lot to manage in this campaign, but the chaos dwarves are similar and they're really fun, so I think it'll be interesting on how he juggles all his mechanics together. We also gotta look at Aslan's new right, as well as the old ones that have been updated. The new one is called Invocation of Mathland, giving Unbreakable to Ship Company and the Lothern Sea Guard. 20% speed when fighting at sea, enables frozen contact effect for oceans and sea elementals, as well as perfect vigor for the mereworms. It is a bit different from the blog post we got, but it's still very good nonetheless, especially the mereworm and oceanids and sea elementals. Very much fits the ocean theme he's going for, boosting all his unique units. We also got our first official in-game look at many of the new units and their stats. First up we have Sea Lord Aslan himself. Sadly, this is him on a Sky Cutter since they decided to show his stats like that, but we will know for sure later this week what his stats are on foot. He does have a couple abilities. One is the Iron Hand, giving any unit 100 leadership and stops them from routing. Pairs really well with the new Oceanids unit, and the other one's called Master of the Mist, giving any range unit 100 range, 25% armor piercing and base missile damage, reload speed 20%, and on top of all that, stalk and snipe, making this one of the best abilities for your range units. And you can only use it once though, so I recommend trying to stack all your archers. We did get a sneak peek at Aslan's skill tree. Like most of the showcase, we only got a few details, and yes, he does have a dragon mount. It just wasn't shown during the blog post or gameplay showcase we had. The legendary hero, Caradrine, is an anti-large, armor-piercing hero who never says a word, being built to take down enemy monsters and being able to bring his own unique mount that lets him get the jump on any unit from the air, as well as being able to resurrect Phoenix Guard and Phoenix units after battle. Being the perfect addition to the High Elf roster, hopefully that he adds a bit more versatility. Now on to the generic lord, we have the Sea Helm. They'll also be leading the dragon ships when you build one, being an anti-large, armored and shielded melee expert, all while having multiple abilities to protect your troops. Has a great eagle and sky cutter mount. While his buffs are more centered around the more ocean themed units, he does seem pretty strong still and enough to take on most monsters. Now we have the Mist Mage stats. He has some pretty normal stats for a mage, but he's also more focused on the new lore of Mist that he comes with, which is more of a support lore, so don't expect too much damage out of him. Rather, you want to use them to boost your army and keep them protected, and the first spell is Mathland Spite, causing damage per second 15 to 30, speed minus 30, and drains vigor, making it great at taking out enemy lords with all your archers. The other low tier spell is Ladriel Shroud, giving a unit immune to contact effects, vigor per second, and if you overcast you can gain healing per second. Kind of the opposite of the last spell to boost your own troops instead of damaging the enemy. Now with the mid-tier magic, the Walk Between Worlds, it's an augment spell giving 25% speed, 55% physical resistance, and strider. Perfect for trying to charge at the enemy and not lose half your troops in the meantime. Speaking of missile damage, we have the Flensing Har, a chain hex causing armor minus 30 and missile block chance minus 36. It can spread up to 40 meters, really useful for the high elves and their myriad of archers. We have two high tier spells left, with the next one being the Writhing Mist. It can boost an ally and debuff the enemy. What it can do for the ally is missile block chance plus 30, 360 missile block, stock, as well as including snipe. And then for the debuffs, we have leadership minus 8 and melee defense minus 24. It's a very good spell if you have a lot of frontline troops as well as archers in the back. Perfect for the high elves. Now we're finally on to my favorite spell out of the 6, and that'd be the Mistress of the Deeps, letting you summon about 2 units of Oceanids, great for protecting your mage or trying to wreck the enemy's backline or artillery. All these spells seem super interesting so far. We'll have to see further details once the DLC comes out, of course, and I'll make a video going over them a lot more in detail. Now with the new magic out of the way, let's check out the rest of the units. We have the Ship Company. We knew it wasn't going to be anything too crazy since they are just spearmen and swords, but they do have Aquatic, and Sea Lord Aslan can boost them up a lot during his campaign, keeping your armies cheap and strong. They were still being used in the live stream even on turn 60, so I think it's a safe bet to say they'll be fine keeping in your army for most of your campaign. The Lothern Skycutters are a flying missile unit that has decent speed and range, making it to where you can harass the enemies in the backline or take out high priority targets, as well as having a variant that can also shoot while moving called the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, letting the High Elves own the sky and sea with artillery and bows. Then we're on to the Oceanids. They're a monstrous infantry unit who has no armor but is immune to contact effects while having high physical and missile resistance on top of even having perfect vigor so they don't get tired. So they seem very good, besides the fact they do disappear over low leadership like the vampire count units, so just keep an eye on them and make sure their leadership is high so you don't lose them in the fight. Now for the Sea Elemental, very similar to their little brother the Oceanids, having the same amount of physical and missile resistance and even their perfect vigor, all while being towering size, great for taking out infantry. And making this unit even more special, they come with a few tricks up their sleeve, like summoning Oceanids to help you fight when it dies, very close to other big units in the game where they make a big splash on the battlefield even after they perish. And the final unit for the High Elves is the Mereworm, one of the strongest monsters in the game, being massive, having anti-large and armor piercing, good for fighting monsters its own size, all while having high missile resistance and regeneration, making them tough to take out for any enemy on the battlefield, and giving the High Elves their much needed centerpiece unit to fill the roster. Now to wrap up all the new High Elf units, there are about 3 regiments renowned. First, a ship company that got rid of their shields for axes, named after Aislinn's old ship, and the other unit is called Silak One Eye. He was shown off in the trailers, so we knew he was going to be added. He also does kind of glow and is much stronger than the normal Mereworm. And then lastly, we have the Blades of Hullith. They're a buffed up version of the Swordmasters of Hullith, make it great for your front line. They also have high missile resistance and block. Not exactly what I was expecting from the 3 regiments of renown, but I think they're all great choices nonetheless. And that was all the major info we have for the new High Elf DLC and their mechanics. They definitely put a lot more into the High Elves than I thought they would, but that's a good thing because I am a big High Elf fan myself, so I'll definitely be trying out Sea Lord Aislinn first, and then Tyrion, Teclis, and all the new mechanics they got. I will be going over more of this in depth, everything that was mentioned, when the DLC comes out on December 4th. So stay tuned on the channel for more info on Slash with a blog post on the 18th I'll be going over, and let me know what was your favorite part about all the changes in DLC down below. Like and subscribe, it really does help with the channel, hoping we make it to 500 before the year ends. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.